Kung Fu Panda 4 comes out very soon, and while I'm skeptical, I'm really excited. I'm pretty sure it was rumored that Jeff Katzenberg wanted Kung Fu Panda to have 2 trilogies, rounding out the total to 6 films, so it's no surprise we're getting a new one. In preparation, I've decided to watch all of the Kung Fu Panda movies again. This is a trilogy I've wanted to talk about to you guys, and in honor of the new installment, now is the perfect time. I'm not going to talk about the shows though, but I'll admit that the Legends of Awesomeness theme song is catchy as hell. Anyways, let's get into it.
It's Shifu!
Of course it's Shifu. What do you think I'm doing? Ooh, Master Shifu!
Kung Fu Panda might be the stupidest DreamWorks movie. It's about a panda who wants to be the Dragon Warrior and master the art of Kung Fu. A panda? Kung Fu? What kind of crack were they on for this? Yet somehow it's one of the most quotable, has one of the best scores, and has some of the most coolest action scenes of any animated movie of the 2000s. Kung Fu Panda is stupid in concept, but it's one of those movies that proves you can take a dumb idea and turn it legendary. To everyone's surprise, including his own, Po, an overweight clumsy panda, is chosen as protector of the Valley of Peace, but his suitability will soon be tested as Tai Lung, the Valley's archenemy, is on his way. This movie was released over 15 years ago, and the animation still holds up. There's a lot of beautiful shots in this movie too. It's really colorful but not over vibrant. The colors are used perfectly in this movie. Before Bowser, Jack Black was Po, and rewatching this all these years later, I'm finally realizing that Jack Black has a knack for voice acting. He uses his natural voice, but it fits well with the character of Po, the panda who was just destined to be the Dragon Warrior. Everything he says alongside Jack's voice is just so good, and the delivery is always on point. From when he's geeking out to when he's sad, you genuinely feel bad for his character. Since he has no sidekick, it's his job to fill in as the comedic role. He's funny and charming and never ever annoying, so the fact that he's so funny without being grating at all helps you root for him and feel bad whenever someone's constantly treating him like shit. The Furious 5 are secretly assholes, but he never backs down after the way he's done this dirty. It's kind of inspiring.
Are you ready?
I was born ready.
I'm sorry, brother. I thought you said you were ready.
That was awesome! Let's go again!
Lord knows I would have quit after that, but it's heartwarming when Shifu comes around and starts appreciating him. We talked about the panda, but what about the Kung Fu?
Take his strength and use it against him until he finally falls or quits.
Damn, the Kung Fu is good. Definitely without a doubt one of the best shot films of any DreamWorks movie in their catalog, especially in the action department. The quick shots, the slow-mo, the strikes and the blows, the way the camera zooms in quick and then cuts back is remarkable. I love that shit. The lighting that also goes along with it helps this become some of DreamWorks' best action work. The fight with Tai Lung and Shifu is tense as emotions are revealed, then the fight that follows it is kinda silly and makes Po look like a god, but it services well in the story and the lesson. The secret was inside you all along is a very cliche lesson, but is really impactful here. Years later, as an adult who's seen this cliche millions of times, it's still one of the better ones. The dragon scroll being blank is something unexpected and a good plot twist, which overall makes the way it was the inside you all along moral that much better. One thing I absolutely commend this movie for is something bigger movies fail at. It knows when to be funny and when to be serious. A movie called Kung Fu Panda can do that better than most movies today, and that's just beyond me. Kung Fu Panda is a stupid movie concept-wise, but the elements and passion put behind it makes it entertaining, hilarious, and thought-provoking. Say what you will about DreamWorks, but unlike Disney, they know how to make a sequel that's better than the original. Kung Fu Panda 2 is a masterpiece of a film, especially when we're solely talking about the DreamWorks catalog. Po and his friends fight to stop a peacock villain from conquering China with a deadly new weapon, but first the Dragon Warrior must come to terms with his past. The movie still has the same tone as the original film, and same beats such as the gorgeous animation, the comedy and action, but every film element is either as good as the original or better. The animation is definitely an improvement here, and the cinematography is a vast improvement from the original film. It took me long to realize this, but in the final battle when Po grabs the cannonball and spins around, he turns it to the yin-yang symbol. Absolutely clever. The film also switches up its animation style whenever we get a flashback when it's 2D. It's so fluid and has its own unique flair. One of my favorite things is how the Furious 5 accept Po now. The opening has them trying to see how many dumplings he can keep in his mouth, and it's honestly wholesome. It's nice to see a kinder side to them that wasn't present in the previous movie, especially with Tigress. The one who envied Po the most is also the one who is kindest to him now. The small moments they have sprinkled out the film shows how much she's grown into taking a liking to him. Also, thank God, Monkey has more than 4 lines this time around, thank God. The music this time? Ooh, Hans Zimmer doubled down with the music here. It's like the first one, but better. I would play it, but you know, Universal would probably. Shin is the villain this time, and when you look at Tai Lung and Shin side by side, people who've never seen these movies would probably tell you Tai Lung is scarier. Shin is not only the most menacing villain in the franchise, but he honestly might be the second best villain in DreamWorks history besides Death. Birds are like the least scariest animals on the planet, unless you're watching The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock.
Shin, here they come!
Shin is responsible for a genocide of pandas that are a part of Po's family. This is what makes Kung Fu Panda 2 amazing. Po's past. A sequel should give more insight to the character, to the world, clear up loose ends that were established in the first movie. Po sees this emblem and gets PTSD every time. He keeps seeing flashbacks throughout the movie, but he fights it because it hurts so much to think about. The scene where he is taken in by the goat who knows of his past might be one of the greatest scenes in animation history. It's a delicate beauty of a scene that teaches an important lesson that's what's hurting you can also be the source of what can heal you. When Po is reliving the tragic day where his family was killed, he stops the flashback because it just hurts too much.
Stop fighting. Let it flow.
He stops fighting and then learns inner peace. He picks up a raindrop, something with a huge amount of delicacy, and moves it around him as he transitions us through that horror of a night. He finally sees his mom glowing bright, put him in a basket as she runs off to lead Shin off the trail, and she is sadly murdered. This is quite depressing, but Po realizes that you are who you choose to be. The past doesn't define you, but instead your choices do. A movie about a panda who learns kung fu teaches a lesson that's not seen a lot in a family film, a lesson that's just so deep and rich. People can argue that Kung Fu Panda and the sequel are pretty much neck to neck in quality, but what edges it out to victory is Po's past. I also want to mention that in the final battle, which is also one of the best final battles in animation history, when Po grabs the red cannonballs, they glow bright orange just like his mom. The symbolism in this movie is genius. Kung Fu Panda 2 is a knockout with more of what people loved about the first, but it goes into a darker territory and creates a richer story than the original. No, seriously, how the hell does a movie about a panda who does kung fu make me cry? I don't get it. Infinity War is the biggest cliffhanger of my life, but as a kid, this was my Infinity War cliffhanger.
My son is alive.
First things first. Kai's theme is a masterpiece. This movie, not so much. What I did for this video was I watched all 3 Kung Fu Panda movies back to back. The thing I noticed was Kung Fu Panda trilogy is literally the same as the OG Star Wars trilogy. Okay, hear me out. The first movie is a masterpiece, and then you think it can't get any better. Then the second one comes out, and you're like, that was even better than the first. It doesn't get better than this, and this is where it's gonna peak. Then the third one is like, yeah, that was good. Also, the first movie is about a guy who trains to fight a bad guy. Then the second one, you learn more about the main character's family. Then the third one, the characters travel to a bear village. They're the exact same. Kung Fu Panda 3 is about Po reuniting with his long-lost panda father, and they go to a panda village where they must train to stop the villain Kai. Kung Fu Panda 3 is a good movie, but it sticks out like a sore thumb compared to the first 2, and I think it all boils down to the comedy. The Kung Fu Panda trilogy is not the funniest of movies, but for DreamWorks standards, they can be very hysterical. However, when it comes to the first 2 films, they balance out the jokes with the seriousness of the story perfectly. So there's an equal amount of good storytelling that slows down the movie, while the movie also throws in jokes that are mostly hit. In Kung Fu Panda 3, it's more fast-paced, which means there's more jokes and less time to breathe. So now it feels like each joke is trying to top itself, and it causes the bad jokes to be even more noticeable than they were the first time and second time. So now it feels like each joke is trying to top itself, and it causes the bad jokes to be more noticeable. Again, with the first 2 movies, there may be a joke which misses, but it's easily forgiven when the pacing is more steady and gives it time to focus. Kung Fu Panda 3 is more rapid fire with its story, so sometimes it doesn't feel like we had the time to appreciate the smaller emotional nuances the film is trying to convey. There's a scene where Po talks to his dad about his wife, and it's really sad, until they ruin it when the huggy panda shows up. Like, Why? Why? It's not like I hate this movie, not whatsoever. There's things I love. Poe reconnecting with his real dad is really wholesome, but it does fall into the liar reveal storyline that naturally goes into the second act low point, and I just hate that storyline. But whenever his real dad interacts with his goose dad, the movie is really funny. They're like two cool gay dads. There's a section where Crane and Mantis get their own side mission, and it works because they're the most underrated of the Furious Five. The visuals are an absolute standout. This is the movie of the trilogy that truly embraces its use of its vibrant aesthetic. While it doesn't have deep symbolism in its visuals, the film pops with its energetic color palette, and it causes a lot of scenes to be enthralling, especially in the spirit realm. Kai is definitely my least favorite of the villains. One of my favorite aspects of this trilogy is each villain connects to a main character. Tai Lung with Shifu, Poe with Shin, and now Kai with Oogway. However, it causes the villain of this third installment to fall a little short.
Kai. Nope, never heard of him.
Tai Lung's story is fleshed out, and so is Shifu's redemption arc, so it causes the villain of the first movie to be a memorable and absolute menace. Shin is the cause of how Poe's life ended up the way it is, causing him to be more memorable. Oogway is cool and memeable,
Monkey.
but we really don't know him in depth, so his connection with Kai falls flat, especially since Oogway hasn't been seen since the middle of the first film. Kai is just alright, but he doesn't have that same threatening element like the previous two villains. Kung Fu Panda 3 is just good. It's a nice finale that's solid, but it doesn't match up to the heights of the first two. The Kung Fu Panda trilogy is full of fun action, memorable characters, and lessons that you don't see a lot in animated movies like these. Overall, watching these three movies back to back to back made me more excited for the fourth one. I'm a little skeptical, and I don't think it'll be good as Kung Fu Panda 1 through 2, but it may be better than 3. But either way, it's nice we're getting a fourth Kung Fu Panda movie during DreamWorks' 30th anniversary. Good thing nothing weird is coming out from DreamWorks before Poe's next adventure.
Those bystanders are about to get squished! It does not look good for them.
Ah, shit.